look at the stock shows poverty. The stock is going down every year, but the flow is growing every year, right? So if you want to see what I'm saying, imagine that you've got like a waterfall in your house or something, and all this water is coming through, and it's drinking water. It's water that you can drink, and so you have all the water that, and whenever you want to drink, you just put your mouth under the waterfall, and you can drink as much as you want. But when the water comes through, all it does is it just goes through a hole, goes into a drain, and then it just disappears. It's gone, right? And so this means that as long as water is flowing through, then I'm gonna have plenty of water. I could just do this and take a drink. But if they ever turn off that faucet, if that water ever stops flowing, then I'm gonna die from dehydration. And why am I gonna die from dehydration? Is that necessary? No, it's not, right? Because if I'd set up my bucket to capture water, as much of the water as I could, to save for a rainy day, then I would have plenty of water in the back. I maybe I put it back there, I freeze it up or whatever, and just save it until one day, if the flow turns off, I'm okay. So that flow of income is pretty much coming from the jobs you have, our corporate jobs, government jobs, the stuff that we do for other people to make money. So that flow of income is pretty strong, right? So we're living off this flow. So then what happens is that one day corporate America freezes up, there's a recession, and then it kind of slows down to a trickle, or maybe the government shuts down, and you suddenly don't have, you're living in Prince George's County where you're used to being flush with cash. Now you're not flush with cash because the government shutdown has killed your job, so your income has stopped. And now you can't drink from the flow. You have to go drink from the stock, but there is no stock. So next thing you know, Prince George's County, one of the richest counties on the entire planet, ends up having a foreclosure crisis. They end up leading the nation on foreclosures. Well, why is that? Well, because you were paying your bills and your mortgage and everything else in a way where that was dependent on the flow continuing to fall the way it had fallen before. And so effectively, it's easy to see, very easy to see if you look at culture habits, in savings patterns, investing patterns, etc., and just really economic culture. It's easy to see why the flow is so big, 1.6 trillion, but the stock is so small, while the stock continues to decline. Because unfortunately, the culture has not been established to say that you're supposed to save this money when you get access to it. That you're supposed to do what they call income smoothing. In economics, they call this income smoothing, where when you're doing really well, that you're supposed to save extra money when you're doing really well, so that when times get dry, you're going to be okay. And the thing is, these are not concepts that you have to go to college to learn. These are actually cultural norms. My grandmother, before she died, rest her soul, her name was Felicia. We named our panther in the Black Business School after my grandmother. She literally, I remember I had her make a list for me of, I said, give me 10 rules that you, because I saw her, she was so good with money. I said, there's absolutely no way a person could be this financially sharp and not have a plan, not have rules, not have a culture or value systems around the way she looks at money, right? It wasn't like she accidentally became the most financially secure person in the family. She never made a lot of money. She only made, most she ever made was $22,000 a year. And she also raised 5 kids by herself. No help at all. But I noticed throughout the years that we had relatives that made 5 times more money than her, and they would come to her to borrow money. And she always had perfect credit. She always had plenty of money saved in the bank. She just never ran short. One time I had to borrow money from her when I was young, and she just was able to. I think she pulled out some credit card that she never used that had a $20,000 limit on it, so, and let me use the credit card, right? And so, but it was all, and it was also done under the threat that if you don't pay me back in a timely manner, I will never ever loan you money again. So she operated almost like a bank, like she just had these rules. And the thing is, here's the thing: is this is what I want you to understand? She didn't get these rules from a university. She didn't get these rules from society. She didn't get them from capitalism or from some class she took. She got them from her culture. She got them from her mother and her father, who lived through the Great Depression. And because they lived through the Great Depression, they had very strict, very serious, very conservative rules for how you manage money. It would be little basic stuff like 10% goes to the Lord, 10% goes to savings. You got to give your grandma got to give her money to the Lord, right? If you loan money to people and they don't pay it back, never loan money to them again. Never loan more than you can afford to lend. Just little things like that. Pay off all your bills first before you do. Just little basic values, right? So here's what's interesting to me is that if my grandmother had instead gotten her rules from society, she would have been in the same financial predicament that an overwhelming majority of single mothers are in America. Actually, the Black single mother has the lowest net worth of anybody in America. Her stock is the lowest of anybody, right? And again, it's not to say that it's because she's just bad or doing something horribly wrong. It's that there's something about the way society teaches us to consume that ends up putting us in these sticky financial situations, right? So when you get in the mindset where you've got to keep up with the Joneses, or you feel like everybody should be driving a certain kind of car, or if you watch BET and you see what they market on BET, they market things that allow Black people the opportunity to look flashy and cool. And I remember for years, to this day, I've still been made fun of because I don't really go and dress. I don't try to dress like someone who has money. I don't care about that type of stuff. I never did, right? But I would see other guys who would be really sharp, like the super sharp suits, super sharp shoes, and I would say, "Wow, I wish I could dress like that." I just don't care enough to do that. I'm not going to go spend $800 on some gator shoes or whatever the hell people. I don't even know what the proper term is, but you know what I'm talking about. Like, I'm not going to pay extra money for beard butter and just just stuff to make myself look pretty. I don't want to look pretty. I want to be solid. I want to be secure, right? And so again, not everybody has this figured out, but I really think that a big part of your economic consciousness should be built around thinking about how you feel in various situations, and making sure that you're secure. All right, so let me share my screen again so we can kind of get started. And by the way, some of you were asking earlier, yeah, if you don't have a copy of the book 30 Days to Wealth and Power, you can go to drboycebooks.com and just search for 30 days in the search box at the top. Also, if you want to get recordings of all these trainings, we're going to do 30 straight days every morning at 10 a.m. You can go to drboyceelevate.com, drboyceelevate.com, and the discount should still be there. And so that way, if you miss a class, you can still have everything there. You can share it with anybody you want. Also, you get a free digital copy of the book as well. So feel free to go take a look at that. All right. So let's move on to the next one here. Objective number 5 is so after you figure out where you want to go, next you have to make necessary adjustments. Now, this image is an image of an airplane pilot that is dumping dead weight. And so I like this image because as some of you may know, I'm actually getting trained to be an airplane pilot. I've got my student pilot's license. I've taken off in an airplane and flown around and all this other stuff. And one of the biggest things that you have to do before you prepare to fly is you have to do something they call weight and balance. You got to make sure an airplane will not fly if you do not have a proper balance of where things are in the plane. And also you have to look at the weight of the plane. If the weight is too heavy, you can imagine what occurs if you have too much weight or you don't have enough balance. And I really think that's a perfect metaphor for getting your financial airplane off the ground. It's weight and balance. And I really encourage you to look at your life, and we're gonna do a reflection on this to help you sort of consciously assess this. Some of you can't get where you're trying to get to because you're carrying way too much weight. Maybe you're carrying people, you're carrying burdens and responsibilities, you're carrying things in your life that you should not have to carry. Especially if you're doing well financially. I don't know if anybody else goes through this, but I've had situations where because I consciously want to carry the weight, because I've always seen myself as the superhero, so to speak, or the guy that wants to save everybody, I end up carrying so much weight that it ends up sinking my airplane to the ground and almost crashing it. And then also just that balance. I found that early in my career, lack of balance was okay. I was pretty much Mr. Workaholic. But then as time went on, I started learning the limitations of not having the proper balance, right? So I started sort of thinking consciously and saying, okay, how do I balance myself in terms of time and energy and money and stuff like that? So really, I think the airplane is a perfect metaphor. So by the time we're done, hopefully I can convince you, help you understand some areas where you may want to dump the dead weight, or reduce the amount of weight you're carrying, establish the right balance so that your plane can really get off the ground and you can go to that next level. Number six is you have to make a plan. You have to make some sort of plan to get to your destination. Nobody I've rarely met any financially successful people or any wealthy people who got there without a plan. So making a plan to get to your destination is absolutely essential. And that's something I'm going to help you with. In the journal, 30 Days to Black Wealth and Power, has questions in there that will help you put together that plan. So when you get done, when you walk out of here, that's the goal, is to make sure you have a plan that you can easily implement that will make a massive, massive, massive difference in your financial life. So the course textbook is 30 Days to Wealth and Power. If you go to drboycebooks.com, that's what the book looks, that's what the cover of the book looks like. But the book that you actually get in the mail, if you order the physical copy, is not going to have that cover. And I actually had a problem when we because we had the book on Amazon and we were getting it printed through Amazon. And I made a mistake. I did not communicate clearly enough that this is not a book similar to, say, the 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power. The 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power is a standard book with thousands of words and everything else in it. This is a reflective journal. So each page is 80% empty. At the top, I ask you a question that I want you to reflect on, and then there's a lot of space for you to write out your reflection. So journaling, I'm biased toward journaling because I started journaling when I was 18 years old in a theater class, and I found that journaling was such a powerful way to gain self-awareness. It's sick, it's ridiculous how valuable journaling can be. If you ever have problems or something, like, start writing out your thoughts and your feelings and stuff, and you'll just gain some clarity that I cannot describe to you. I cannot explain it. In fact, actually, if you have a therapist, which I think I think every Black person needs a therapist, to be honest with you. If you want to be your best self, I think a therapist helps. I have a great therapist. I love talking to her. And what you'll find, though, is it's really funny, is that what therapists do is they spend 90% of their time just listening to you, right? You're just letting it all off your chest and you're explaining things, and you end up solving your own problems because you're sort of consciously communicating where you are, what you see, what you're observing, and then eureka, the solution pops out, right? So I said, I think a financial journal that would help us to establish financial consciousness could be beneficial. So each day there's a question that allows you to reflect on something about your financial life, so you can gain that awareness and that consciousness that'll take you to the next level. Okay, so let's hit our day one reflection. Our day one reflection is this. And I want you to pull out your book, even if you have an e-copy, and I want you to write this out inside the book. Are you investing at a level that you need to? Uh, Also, I want you to write the things that have stopped you from investing to this point, right? And I want you to reflect on that. Now, a lot of you, first of all, I was really proud and really excited to see that 80% of you are already invested in stock. That's awesome. Again, you have the stock market participation rates of millionaires, by the way. So you're gonna be a millionaire, or your children are gonna be millionaires. I can guarantee, if you consistently do this, say every month or two, and you're consistently putting assets into the market, you or your children will be millionaires. There's no question in my mind about it. All you have to do is make sure you don't sell your assets. Just little basic things. I mean, if you blow all your money, then of course all bets are off. But if you are engaged in even a modest level of asset preservation, you're going to be in that millionaire status. All right. So I want you to. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a little break, and I want to give you maybe how about we take 10 minutes and you go fill that out, right? Just write in the journal right now. Do it right now. And you can even make a list, like, maybe 5 reasons why I'm not investing. Okay. And then after 10 minutes, we'll come back and I'm going to tell you, or we're going to go through some common reasons that people aren't investing at the level that they should. And I'm going to kind of break some of those down for you. Okay. So let's take that little break, and we'll come right back. Okay. All right. So get your journals out. Let's get it popping.